Hello and welcome to the Southbound Sports Show. I'm your host, Richie Leahy. Today, we're going to go ahead and get on the phone with Jeff Meyer like I teased in an earlier episode, and we're going to talk about college spring football. Now, I attended the NC State spring football game, and Jeff went to the West Virginia spring football game. I also watched some of the Michigan tape on their spring football game and looked at a couple other games. So, without further ado, here is our conversation. All right, I'm on with Jeff Meyer. We're going to talk about the spring game, and this is going to come out way later but when we're talking about this now, it just happened. Aaron Hernandez was found dead in his jail cell after finding out that he was basically acquitted of murder. So to me, when you get good news like that, you don't kill yourself.
Yeah, to say the very least. The whole thing is, like, he might have the most interesting life to me out of anyone. Like, the dude apparently grew up in gangs, different stuff like that, plays for the Florida Gators, has a great college career, makes the NFL, one of the best tight ends in the entire NFL, goes to a Super Bowl, doesn't win. Next thing you know, he's in jail, locked up for life for multiple murders. Somehow, years later, find out he's acquitted for one, might have murdered others still, and hang himself by himself in a jail. Does that make any sense to you?
Yeah, it doesn't make sense. The timeline doesn't line up. And I didn't even know he was still on trial. I assumed that they had convicted him because I thought there was video evidence. And I didn't follow the case that close. But then I see, oh my God. I looked, actually, I was hanging out with my dad over the weekend, and I said, oh man, that guy, he's going to get out. I said, he just got off. Now he can appeal the other one. He'll be out of jail. And my dad was laughing, and he's like, you think so? I said, yeah. And then next day, they're like, he killed himself.
It's honestly unbelievable to me because, he got acquitted for the one murder because the eyewitness basically admitted to lying about the whole thing. Now, I'm pretty sure they had enough evidence to, uphold the other rulings. I don't remember how it all played out, but I believe there's multiple murder cases. So he probably would have still spent life in jail. But the fact is, though, if one person who was an eyewitness basically proclaims that he was lying, things start unraveling even in the other murder cases because they're all connected. You know what I mean? So there's a slight outside chance he would have been acquitted of all murders, but I still think he would have spent time in jail for at least one of the murders. But it's the most strange thing in the world to me. Like you said, emotionally, he should have been so ecstatic, so happy. I don't know, maybe he was depressed, maybe he had, he was bipolar, you never know. Maybe he had too many ups and downs there, but the timing, like you said, doesn't make sense. If he's going to hang himself, he's going to do it, shortly after essentially losing his NFL career and millions of dollars.
Well, what shocked me, and maybe this goes against whatever legal proceedings, but normally when someone's found dead, they rule it as under investigation. When he was found, they said suicide immediately. The prison guy came out and said suicide, and I guess he's in prison. He's confined. But, you don't think that there would have been an internal investigation?
Yeah.
They never announce the cause of death until the autopsy.
Yeah.
So it just seemed really weird, and, everyone went with it.
Well, that's the thing, too. But usually in a situation, the first thing they do is rule out foul play. And in this situation, they didn't even consider that at first.
Yeah, they ruled so quick. I didn't know, maybe they had video evidence in the cell. That could be a possibility. I don't know. But the whole situation just doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, not at all. And plus, he also left a suicide note, too. How did he have the things necessary in his cell to hang himself, first off? Wouldn't you think that he'd show signs of that before this happened? I don't know. It's just a very strange situation. But honestly, for all the people out there who believe in conspiracies, this one should be the top of that list because none of it makes any sense to me.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking too. It's definitely a conspiracy, especially with all the fake news and stuff everyone's throwing out there these days. Like this one, the way it was reported so fast, and at first they said there was no suicide note, and then I guess they found one. I don't know. Like it just doesn't add up.
It's like, how do you not find a suicide note in a cell? In a cell.
Yeah, and plus he's a big dude, so like, how is he supporting him? Like, I don't understand how he hung himself. I mean, maybe, like I said, maybe they have video footage or something that they don't want out there that they can go ahead and throw in court. I would hope that there would be that type of investigation, but you never know.
Talking about someone like committing suicide isn't funny, but Barstool Sports mentioned about Hernandez suicide, and I thought it was kind of funny because the thing they mentioned is Hernandez is he died an innocent man. When like they reference some old English law, until the proceeding begins, until its official end, you are innocent throughout. The moment you're considered guilty. So they were like writing this article about how Hernandez is eternally innocent no matter what because he was never found guilty in a court of law. I don't know. I just thought that was funny.
Yeah, I saw that come out too, and I was wondering like maybe that was what his motive was. That now that he got this first one, he didn't want to have to deal with winning the second one. So he's at peace, I guess. I don't know.
Hey, there's some strange things that happen, dude.
Yeah, we'll never know the end of that one. But, yeah, wanted to chat a little bit about the spring game. I went to the NC State spring game. At first, they had music blasting, which I talked to Matty B. He couldn't be on the call today. He said that he thinks the music was blasting to kind of simulate the game environment where it's really loud. But like for a spring game, like you're well off, you're well away from a game. It should be about the fan experience, not having me get blasted out in a game where I'm down by the field, and yeah, the music's blasting the whole time. And it wasn't really, at least from my experience, they didn't really tell me what was going on. Like they said, the first quarter is going to start, and then they're like, go ahead and start your drills. And then they went through warm-ups. So the first quarter was like running back drills. The quarterbacks were doing stuff. Receivers were doing catching drills. It wasn't even a game. And then they did a weird simulated scrimmage, which I have some photos. If you go on, so what I did was I tried to start a series on Medium. I think I got, because we moved to Medium, just started to test it out. So I put up, and I might have mentioned this before, I put up a series. I've been adding photos to it. It's supposed to be like a living document and I did have it titled Spring Game. I might just change it to NC State Football. But I have some photos. You can see what I'm talking about. Quarterbacks wore green shirts. They only played like a 10-yard scrimmage. So once a pass was past 10 yards, everyone would come back to the middle of the field, which was weird because I was down in the end zone. I didn't get the pass to go onto the sideline, so I didn't get enough shots. Like, at first, in like the players, I'm like all far away, and you can see that if you look at the photos. That's awful explaining on the podcast on my end. But I thought the game was kind of weird. I would have enjoyed more of a scrimmage if you're making it about the fans. I've been to the tailgate for it, but this is the first spring game I've ever been to. And I honestly will say that it is better on TV. What do you think about the West Virginia one?
So, this is my third spring game. My first one going to West Virginia. I played in one at Pitt and also attended one at Pitt. The one at West Virginia is probably the most fun I've ever had. There's just something about the college atmosphere in Morgantown. Fans. There's a pretty good tailgate. Like I said, I've only been to 3.
Well, I wanted to go ahead and apologize. As you could hear, we recorded this a few weeks ago when the Aaron Hernandez news broke, and then we went ahead. ESPN had all their layoffs, so we wanted to throw that out before we put this up, and we focused on doing some NFL draft coverage. Jeff Meyer actually attended the NFL draft, so we had this ready to go. And we had some connection issues. I thought they were resolved, but when I went to edit this together, after I already did my intro, it looks like we've lost most of the spring football game coverage. So I apologize. I'll be getting back with him together, and we'll try to throw some stuff up to get caught up to make up for the missed content. We did have some MLB talk that we put together here that I'm going to try to salvage and probably put out next week, and I'll probably make next week's podcast a little bit longer. I will be at Charlotte Motor Speedway this weekend for the Carolina Rebellion concert, so I'm hoping that I'm going to be able to get some footage there to help expand Southbound Sports, maybe get to see some of the NASCAR stuff. And if everything goes according to plan, we're going to do some test live streaming on our social channels. So make sure you follow us, Southbound Sports, on Instagram and on Facebook. You can find us there. On Twitter, it's S-Bound Sports. Southbound Sports does not fit. So we had to abbreviate, went with S-Bound. So thank you for listening. Again, I apologize for the audio quality. Sorry for the drop-off. I'm going to try to save the rest of our conversation on baseball, and it will be added on as a bonus to next week's episode. And like I said, I'll be getting back to Jeffrey and maybe even record a bonus episode or something to talk a little bit about spring football and the NFL draft, because since the draft is over and he was there, with that in spring football, it's really all we have until football season starts in the realm of pigskin. So we can talk about that stuff all summer, but we'll be getting that to you guys. So thanks for listening. Again, follow us on social, look for some live content, and we'll see you next week.